Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the best tips, the best brawlers, everything like that for the 5 maps in this weekend's championship challenge. So it's going to be 15 wins. You are going to get 4 losses this time. This has been changed from 3 losses, which was obviously the amount of losses you had last time. Of course, before we jump into it, if you get anything up in the shop, like these new pin packs, like this new skin, make sure you're using code Tom in the shop. And I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this new pin pack here. Let's see if we get anything spicy. It's a rare pin pack. I've been scammed. I thought it was an epic pin pack there. So yeah, that's a bit annoying. Anyway, make sure you're subscribed and let's get into the first map. Okay, so map number 1 then is going to be over on Shooting Star, of course, Bounty. So you want to get a tick in mid here. Tick is going to be the best brawler for mid. If you don't want to go tick, you can go things like Sprout and Brock to break those walls in mid, but would definitely recommend going tick. It's going to be the best brawler for this map. The job of the tick, just to kind of spam that mid, but also help your teammates out when they need, and also very important to get that blue star as well. You want the lead so the enemies are pushing into you rather than you having to push into them. Definitely gives you a pretty big advantage. Now, whatever brawlers would I go lane? Eve is going to be suggested on every single map because Eve is just so broken right now. So you can definitely go Eve on this map. It's going to be the best lane pretty much. And then, so I'd go Tick, Eve, and then either a Piper or a Nanny on the lane. If you don't want to go those brawlers for some reason, you can go stuff like Leon on the lane. You can go Belle on the lane. Go Max, Byron on those lanes. You can also go something like a Fang if you feel like it, or a Pam on those lanes as well. As for the gears for this map, I would recommend going with that shield gear because all these brawlers are going to be pretty squishy. You want that shield gear, and then you could choose between the damage or the speed. Personally, I think you're going to get a lot more value from that damage gear just because there's not too much grass on this map. But if you are playing mid with Tick, probably go with that shield and the speed gear because you're going to be playing around that grass a lot of the time. And with the star power you're using, you don't really get a chance to use that damage star power or the damage gear anyway. So yeah, I feel like speed and shield on Tick should do just fine. But Eve pretty much gonna be the best brawler on this map. Tick very good, and then just any kind of sharpshooter as well is usually gonna work pretty well on this map. Okay, map number 2 then is going to be on Super Stadium, or as it's now known, Super Beach. So for this one, again, Eve going to be a brawler, an amazing brawler to play, whether you play Eve lane or Eve in the mid. Eve is going to be very, very strong. Of course, if you have that new star power, definitely make sure to use that because it's really OP. So other good brawlers here, Ruff's really good on the lane. Spike really good in the lane. Also, you have things like Barley. Barley are going to counter most lanes on this map, apart from those aggressive comps. As for other mids, you can go stuff like Byron, B, Max, are all going to be mids you can use on this map. I'd probably say that Max is a very safe mid to use because he can pretty much be everything. But yeah, when you have Eve, if you have Eve as mid, you know, nothing's really going to be Eve. So Eve's also very good. The comps I've gone for, things like a Fang, Max, Ems, like synergizes pretty well and could work very well. Mr. P, you can also go lane on this map as well. But yeah, the main comp here is going to be a very toxic comp. Can definitely work. It's something like a Ruff's, Eve, Barley. This comp's going to be a little bit weaker though to those more aggressive comps, so definitely be careful for that. Spike going to be very good as well on the lane. You can also play things like Tara and Sandy, although they're not going to be as good as some other options on this map. Now, what should you do for gears? So for this map, if you're playing on the lanes, you probably want to go speed and damage gear depending on how much HP. You know, if you're playing a Spike, probably go speed and shield. If you're playing Ruffs, probably go speed and damage. As for the mid, you probably just want to go shield and damage gear because there's not really too much grass in that middle area. Now, what should you do with the ball? So when you're on defense, you want to corner that ball. You can see the corner sits very natural. There's like boxes kind of, I guess, and making a nice tumble there. Yeah, there's boxes in the corner, which makes it even better, essentially, to put the ball there. It's going to make it even harder for the enemies to get the ball out. Of course, when you're on offense, when you have good pressure, what you want to do, you want to pass that ball up in a place the enemies can't easily get it, but you can easily get it, like behind a wall in mid, something like that, where your team is going to be able to take advantage of it if you get the enemies weak, if you get a team wipe. And as I said, if you're on defense, make sure you're cornering that ball. Makes it harder for the enemies to get, and therefore, if they kill you, it's going to be harder for them to score and capitalize on those kills. But that's going to be it for this map. Let's hop into the next one. Okay, so the next map is going to be Knockout on Flaring Phoenix. So we've gone with 2 throwers in the comp using here. Wouldn't necessarily recommend going with both throwers because it's kind of risky. But yeah, Tick's going to be very strong. Again, Eve very strong, and also Byron really, really strong. I would recommend going with at least 1 thrower. You could go something like Eve, Tick, Fang, or even a Eve, Tick, you know, Byron, something like that is going to be very, very strong. If you're going like the Fang and the Tick, you're not really going to lose too much because they kind of cover everything. And then Byron, of course, a really solid mid. Eve, a really solid mid as well. And of course, you can play Eve on the lane as well. But yeah, on this map, honestly, pretty easy. As you guys know, knockout is a very passive mode. You're going to have to, most of the time, you're not about to get kills, and you just have to wait for the zone to come in. You're playing Tick or Sprout, of course, make sure you're trying to get the super, especially the Sprout, to kind of block the enemies in. As for gears on this map, would probably recommend going speed on every gear, speed, star power on every single brawler, just because there is a ton of grass on this map. And then depending on how much HP the brawler has, if you're playing like a Tick or Byron, you probably want the shield gear. Playing something like a Fang, you probably want that speed and the damage gear, just because you don't really get as much value from that shield gear. Other brawlers you can go here, Pam's going to be really strong. Has good HP and can definitely do well in the kind of end game when everyone is when the zone's coming in and everyone's fighting like that. Of course, we have things like Leon, pretty solid. Brock as well. Fang, as already mentioned, very strong. Bell as a lane, and also Ruffs as a lane with that healing star power could also work if you're planning to play a more passive game. Yeah, as I said, the main comp, probably want to go Tick, Byron, Eve, or like Eve, Tick, and Fang. Something like that is going to work out very well for you. Of course, you want to have the Byron or even mid, Fang and Tick or another thrower on the lanes. That's going to work out pretty well for you. You're going to play it pretty slow, and you're going to be able to just chip away, get your supers, and you should be able to win the end game with these comps. Okay, next up we have map number 4, which is going to be double swoosh, of course, gem grab, also known as brum brum in Spanish. Anyway, so there's a lot of good brawlers on this map, to be honest. In mid, you either want something like a Jean, Mr. P. Pam can also work in mid as well, but Eve, again, pretty much going to be the best brawler on any single map, so probably should be playing Eve if you do have her. Byron could be a really strong lane on the left. Not really much is going to beat Byron, so I definitely like Byron here. You got things like Spike, Ems, Jean, Tara, Fang, Throw, Ruffs, all going to be pretty solid on a map like this. Yeah, in mid, you want something strong like a Mr. P or Jean. Left, I'd say go with something like an Eve or a Byron. And then on the right-hand side, you want to go with something that can push up, get good pressure for you. So something like an Ems, a Pam, or a Tara or Amber can also work on that right-hand side very well, especially in Amber, because you can break the enemy grass, and I feel like that's definitely a good way to play it. You can break their grass, and then, like, essentially, you know where they are all the time because you have destroyed all of their grass. But yeah, Brian really strong on the left, and Eve, of course. Don't forget about Eve, because Eve is extremely strong. Ems as well, Tara as well on that right hand side could definitely work out. Now, what gadgets and or what gears, sorry, would I be going? Definitely go on the speed gear. There's a ton of grass on this map, and then you probably want to go damage gear on like the Pams, and on the Byrons you want to go something like a shield gear because you have a little less HP. But that's gonna wrap it up for this one, of course. Let's get on to the final map. Okay, so the final map of the challenge then is going to be map 5, Ring of Fire. So for this one, of course, if you have Eve, you want to be playing Eve. Byron also a really good pick on a map like this, because it's very long range. You see a lot of Ruffs and Spikes, which Byron deals very well with, and also can heal your teammates up. So Byron's a really good pick. Fang is also a really good pick on a map like this. So a map like this, probably looking to go for something like a Fang, Byron, Eve. That sounds like a pretty toxic comp to me. Fang can pretty much deal with anything. Going to be good against the spawners like Eve, Lola, Pam, stuff like that, where you can kind of bounce off their supers and gadgets, star power, stuff like that. Also, other brawlers we've got that are pretty solid here, stuff like Amber. We've got Lola, Pam, Spike, you know, Tara, Fang, Crow, Bell. Stuff like that is also going to be really, really effective on a map and mode like Ring of Fire. But yeah, definitely in mid you want something strong like an Eve, a Pam, or a Lola. Then on the lanes, you know, you can't really go wrong with a Byron, Fang. That's gonna be pretty good. But also things like Spike can be very effective as well. Just make sure you keep in control of your grass, because you don't want the enemies to push up and kind of get that control. So what gears would I be going then? Probably be going speed gear on something like Fang, and then of course like a damage gear, something like Fang. Most of all though, probably just like shield gear on those weaker brawlers. Again, pretty similar to most other maps here. Okay guys, that's gonna wrap it up for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.